Page 10. Let's go to the right one here. Realize I'm not God. I admit that I'm powerless to control my tendency to do the wrong thing and that my life is unmanageable. Earnestly believe that God exists, that I matter to Him, and that He has the power to help me recover. Consciously choose to commit all my life and will to Christ's care and control. Openly examine and confess my faults to myself, to God, and to someone I trust. Voluntarily submit to every change God wants to make in my life and humbly ask Him to remove my character defects. Evaluate all my relationships, offer forgiveness to those who have hurt me, and make amends for harm I've done to others, except when to do so would harm them or others. Reserve a daily time with God for self-examination, Bible reading, and prayer in order to know God and His will for my life and to gain the power to follow His will. Yield myself to God to be used to bring this good news to others, both by my example and by my words. All right. Okay. We're in August. Believe it or not, we are in August. And so obviously that means that we are super close to our launch. And so here's, let me just kind of give you an overview of the next couple of weeks, and then we'll move into what we're going to move into. So tonight or tomorrow morning, lesson 24 will go out via the YouTubes. And so that means that there's one more lesson left, which is 25, okay? But there are 2 Wednesdays in between now and our launch date, the 14th and the 21st. And so what we've decided to do, or what I've decided to do, I made the executive decision here, is because we are on the 28th, we're hitting the ground running. We've been running for however long we've been meeting together, and then launch comes and we're hitting the ground running. We are going to actually take a break next week, okay? So the 14th, we will not gather together. So we can all take a collective breath, enjoy a Wednesday of being at home, doing whatever. So we'll take a collective breath next week on the 14th, and then we will come back on the 21st, and we will kind of run that like a CR night. That'll kind of be our dress rehearsal. We'll have Dave's going to lead us in a couple of songs. We will teach lesson 25 like we would like we will the following week, only lesson 1, not lesson 25. We'll teach, and then we'll break off into our groups, and we will do one more session of open share style, so like we did last week. Tonight here, when we're done here, we'll break off, and we'll do a typical step study discussion. We'll be discussing lesson 23. So break next week, take a breath, step back, do whatever, eat some ice cream, as if that would be any different than any other week, right? And then we'll all come back for the 21st for our little dress rehearsal, okay? Tomorrow, I'm going to be focused on plugging everyone in and making sure all of the logistical gaps are filled. And so as I do that, I will be reaching out to folks, hopefully tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then Monday, as I try to get all those holes filled in for our dress rehearsal and for our week 1, our launch day. Okay, we do have some other people from the church who are wanting to be involved somehow and have signed up to do some of the more kind of logistical, greeting, those types of things that don't require having gone through the step study. So I'm excited to have them come in, but you guys get first priority in filling the needs where you want to be, and so other folks who are coming in, we'll put them somewhere. There's always something to do, right? But truthfully, I just want them to be here to see and experience. So when we launch on the 28th, we will actually, so the 28th, we will have a newcomers 101. That will be like the open share time after the large group. Everybody will go through newcomers 101 because everybody will be newcomers, right? So we'll do the newcomers 101 on the 28th, and then that first Wednesday of September, 4th, we'll then start with our open share groups. We're going to start with one male and one female open share group. But I say that like with full anticipation that it's not very long before we start a second of each, right? I think that we have the potential leadership here within our group. It's just a matter of, I have no idea who's going to be here when we launch. Like, that's still the biggest unknown, is we've done the work to put the word out. We've made connections. We just have no idea who's going to be here. So as we start our open shares, it'll be, again, one male, one female, but with the understanding that, like, it's going to be pretty quick that we go to a second male, second female group. And so as that happens, with each group having a leader and a co-leader, to start with, there'll be one leader, one co-leader, but very quickly. So if you don't get in that role right then, just hold on a couple of weeks, and we're gonna get you there. Does that make sense? What I want to do for this, before we break off into our 15 to 20 minutes or so, before we break off into our open or our step study discussion, is just kind of open up for questions as we are getting super close. I know we had some question time regarding open share last week, and then we practiced open share. So if that brought up any questions, we can talk about those things, or just anything in general. If you have questions, we'll just kind of spend some time talking about those, and then we'll jump into our discussion. Does that sound good? All right. I do have the handheld mic, so rather than the awkward me repeating your question like I did last week so that it would be on the video, I'm just going to pass the mic around. So if you have a question, just ask it into the microphone here, and then we can talk about it. Sound good? Russ, you had your hand up first. Don't talk until I give you the microphone, Russ.
No, it's going to happen. You need to walk back. You need to run.
I already did that today. I can't do it twice.
This is actually just more a comment. I have a sneaking suspicion that we are going to get invaded with some of the people from up north. They're going to come and support us.
That would be awesome. You mean Marion in general? Yep. I know.
Those folks up north.
Yeah, those northerners. Yes, I think so. I talked to Pastor Greg. I think he's planning to be here. Also, with that, I have testimonies scheduled out, and the first several are from Marion, so they'll be kind of doing some tag team. This is kind of cool. One of the early, I think it's the beginning of October, my former senior pastor from Lower Lights when I was in Columbus, who ran a CR group, he's going to come up in October and share his CR testimony. Dust that off. It's been a few years for him. So that's cool. I almost have testimonies scheduled out almost through December. So that's cool. That's a good thing. So yeah, Karen, here we go.
Do you or anyone here know when the construction's going to be done out in front of the church? Because it's awful.
Yes. I have no idea. I saw that they put out a thing this week, like they put up the weekly things, and I saw something about December 31st. We're 31 here. So we've got a long time to go. Yeah, so hopefully our CR signs can be seen in the midst of orange cones. We can put our little CR, our cones right there, right? Yeah, exactly. So This is the road to recovery, not this, yes. Yeah, it definitely fits the theme. It is. That was part of our launch. That was part of our launch strategy. Is like we're gonna get the city to just tear this up. What an object lesson, you know. So thank you all for paying your taxes so that we can have this great CR launch. Funny. What questions do you have? Yeah. No, it's awkward.
Where in the church will the open share groups take place?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. So we will do, for that first one, first groups, we will do one where the guys are meeting. So this classroom, I have no idea what the room numbers are. Okay, perfect. 102. And then the other one, the ladies will be in one of the other, probably, you know the number of your Sunday school room, Dave? 101, 102, 103, that would probably make sense. So 101, yeah. It'll be those two rooms. Yes. Good. So just in terms of kind of flow, like on a night, Hope Center will be serving dinner. We're putting it out there for CR. That dinner is served from 5:30 to 6. It actually starts 4:30, but on our CR stuff, if someone who wants to come to CR, dinner from 5:30 to 6, and then we start service at 6:30. So entrance will all be over here because of the food, and then we'll come in this little whatever breezeway. We'll have our CR resources. Hopefully very soon we can get that up. And then like as they come into the sanctuary, there'll be like a kind of a greeting, name tags. Everybody will wear name tags. I think that's helpful right in there. And then for kids, kids will obviously be up in the kids area. Still working on exactly what check-in for kids will look like. We've got to nail that down. Whether that's checking in like right out in the well and then the kids team walking them over, or having them walk over and check in the kids area. We're still finalizing those details. So then larger group in here, obviously, and then open share groups in those two. We'll have coffee and such out here in currently the well, soon to no longer be the well because we'll all be the well. Continue to call that the well, and I'll always forget. So. Yeah. What else? What you got? Yep.
This is something I just thought about with our discussion last week around the open share group guidelines and small group guidelines, is that if there is, at the beginning, sometimes or when there's new people, there can be people who really don't want to follow the guidelines at first. And I was just wondering if you felt it would be appropriate, Josh, like, if we're 10 minutes in and 3 of the guidelines have been broken already, to just say as the co-leader or leader, let's just pause right here for a minute and let's revisit our guidelines because I know this is all new to us, or, something like that, so no one feels like finger pointed, but we can share those again.
Yep. No, I think that's a great idea, and that's we're able to do that at the beginning of, because we're brand new to launching this, right? So this is new to everybody. So by all means, take opportunities to remind of those guidelines. And when you do it in that way, like you said, you're not singling someone out. Russ, stop talking, right? I'm not going to do that. It's going to be everybody. I was saying hypothetically, but Russ never talks, so. Very quiet. Yes, I think that's a good reminder in general. Is like, we've done a lot of work to get where we're at, and with CR there are those, like, there's the guidelines and the DNA, and it's very structured, and so it can be easy and tempting to get caught up in like making sure everything is perfect, and so I think it's a good reminder for us. To have grace for ourselves. We are new to this, right? And so there will be times where it'll be appropriate to use that newness to say, hey, let's remember what we're doing. Yeah. Yeah.
What ages for the children?
Oh, age, yeah, ages for the children. So we are promoting birth through 6th grade right now. And there'll be a nursery, like a younger, it won't all be, 6th graders won't be squashing the babies and such, hopefully. What a great illustration, a great object lesson, right? Yeah. Eventually down the road, we'd love to offer the teen programming as well. And so, baby steps. What else? Yeah. Oh, good question. What time will we need to be here? Kind of depends on what role you have. We'll have some people who are kind of helping with cleanup from dinner, and so would need to be here probably. I'll double check with Kim on this, but would probably need to be here by 6. If you have a role in like the large group, whether that's like the reading the principles or the prayer, anything like that, would probably want you here by probably by 6 to 6:10 as well. If you're just doing an open share group, like leading open share group, there's probably don't need to be here quite as early. Just a few minutes before 6:30. But there's also then that opportunity to kind of mingle ahead of time as an open share leader. But there's not that kind of have to be here super early. So that'll kind of, like I said, it'll kind of depend on roles. And as I fill in gaps in people tomorrow, Monday, I'll try to put out like a timeline for the night of when people should be here. Yeah, good. Bob, yell really loud. I'm just kidding. This isn't.
My question is,
Yeah. I think that we can possibly have both. For sure. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. I think that there's going to be an opportunity for both. And I think that we have plenty of people to man both of those as well. So, I would envision somebody out here at these doors welcoming in, because we'll have the CR sign out there and such. Someone here, really someone manning the resource area, and also someone right inside these doors of like, here's your name tag, fill out your name tag, that kind of thing. My opinion is that we can't have too many people welcoming people, So if we have more bodies than that, then I can probably find places for them to. I think, Bob, you should be that front door right there. I mean, your dreadlocks right next to the Celebrate Recovery sign, welcoming people in. That's pure gold right there. Yeah. What else? You do have to wear a suit and tie, yes. No. No dress code. Although my hope is, my plan is that we have our Celebrate Recovery shirts by launch day, and so would love for you to be able to wear those, for our team to be able to wear those on launch night. You don't necessarily have to wear those every week, but at least for launch night, my hope is that the shirts are here and ready. There are shirts in the lobby here. They're not the CR ones yet, they're the other ones. But they're not quite ready to go because there was some hiccups on them. And so, hopefully the CR ones are here and ready to go for launch night. But beyond that, there's no CR dress code. We don't really have a dress code on a Sunday morning. Wear clothes. Wear clothes. Yeah. What else? Yeah. It's a great question, and I would love to have an answer for you. Unfortunately, I do not have an answer for you. The question, since I'm not walking around with the microphone anymore, is uptown. Friday night's uptown for August 16th. Will there be a separate CR booth? We have put in that request to have a more in the typical vendor area. The response was that area is really full, and so they were looking at potentially adding more vendor space over on Plum Street. Is that the road that used to be on for the kids stuff? Is that Plum? Or on the, yeah. I can't. Anyway, what's that? No. So that was they said they were considering opening that up for other vendors if other vendors wanted to. And so our reply to them was, if you do open that and there are other vendors that are going to be there, then we would love a space. But if you open it and we're the only vendors over there, then that's pointless, right? And I don't have an answer for that yet. I hope to, by the end of this week, have that answer. If we don't have that area, then we'll still take our cones and our cards and things like that, and hopefully we have our shirts as well by then, and anybody that's there can wear their shirt and just walk around and hand stuff out unsolicited. What's the worst that happened? They tell us to stop passing out our stuff. So I don't know. The worst that can happen is it say that you can't come back to the next Friday nights uptown, which they're not doing the October one anyway. So that's not. I don't think that's going to. Yeah. So I hope to have that answer by Friday. That's the best I got right now. So. Yep. What else? Not bad. Kind of like all the 24 weeks or whatever have helped prepare us to get where we're going, right? Kind of funny how that works. All right, well, if the inevitable happens, yeah, Dave. Yeah. The question is when we start splitting groups or adding new groups, are those kind of category related, or is it just splitting to have more groups? The ideal would be that we are creating new groups for specific needs or issues. Officially, our first two groups will be just be called a mixed issue open share group. So mixed issue male, mixed issue female. Probably the next ones that would probably start would be a chemical dependency or substance dependency, something like that. That can essentially be, that's a large net right there, right? Some sort of substance or chemical dependency. And then everything else that doesn't fit into that would then still be, because there'd still be a mixed issue. So there'd be chemical dependency and mixed issue groups. So then from there, as needs arise, as we learn the needs of our community of who's here, then also based on potential leadership we have from within, that kind of determines what those next open share groups are. How that works. Yeah. Yeah, right. No, yep, it's a good question. All the material is going to be the same, right? And that's kind of the idea is that regardless of the issue, regardless of the hurt, habit, or hang up, the material is the same. But where that comes out is, you find a community of people who have a similar struggle to you, like who are struggling with the same things. That's where the difference. So really, the difference will be in what is shared, like, or how does this lesson focus question apply in a situation where we're dependent on? Does that make sense? Yeah. So the material itself doesn't change, but those issues are talked about that perspective. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. For sure. Yeah. That's where our guidelines, like, they have to be our driving force, kind of and that's where also as leaders and co-leaders, we have to be willing to kind of approach that in appropriate ways. Whether that's after a group approaching someone to say, hey, like this, we really need you to focus on your 3 to 5 minutes, focus on your recovery, that kind of thing, to really, we have to, that's where leaders and co-leaders, like, that's not always an easy thing, but that's one of the main responsibilities of a group leader and co-leader, is making sure that the group abides by those guidelines. And so there are helpful, and we talked about it in the video that's out from last week. We talked, Cindy reiterated the guidelines and what that practically looks like, and talked about some of that. There's also somewhere in the CR stuff, and I'll hunt that down this week. There's a document that's like helpful phrases to say in the, like, when guidelines are broken, just things that are, we want to extend grace. That's a thing. Like, we don't want to shame anyone, right? We don't want to call someone out and bring shame there. So there's ways that we can do that. But and the other thing is just helping, like, as we talk about Newcomers 101, because everybody will have to go through Newcomers 101. Part of that will be talking about this is why you're limited to 3 to 5 minutes. It's because if you're not limited to 3 to 5 minutes, then all of a sudden this person over here doesn't have time to share, and we've just robbed them of their opportunity. So those guidelines are significant. Like I said, we talked in the video from last week. So I think it's the latest YouTube upload. Talked a little bit about that, and then I'll find that document that is out there somewhere in all the millions of files of, like, some helpful phrases and things, helpful ways to kind of redirect that. They received a flyer, a PDF flyer through the email communications. Church communications are not always on top of their game, and what happens to those things, I don't know. I do know that that's how I got connected with the New Beginnings Gathering. It used to be New Beginnings. Now it's a Gathering. Yeah, the Gathering was because their pastor got that email from Mama. So I connected with a guy that he's going to be a part of this. He and his wife is cool. They new to Ohio, only been in Ohio for a year. We're heavily involved in CR leadership in Pennsylvania. I've been here for a year and just looking for that recovery community to be a part of, and haven't been able to find it. Had started kind of approaching their pastor about starting something like CR within their ministry in the fall. I had very early conversations, and then got the email from us that we're starting that, and they're like, all right, we're on board. So he and his wife will be here. We'll be here for launch day. He's like, we'll be here to attend. We'll be here to serve. We'll hear testimony, whatever it is that y'all want. We're going to be here, and we're going to push it to our church. So that's probably not the norm amongst the other churches, because I just know how church communication works. But it's at least out there. We've made the attempts to get those out there. Yes. Yeah. 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 No, I haven't done that. Nope. Nope. No, we have not. I would say if we have that, maybe that's where we, as those of us who have, kind of been a part of this launch team, we can kind of take that like as a, I don't need to share here right now. We'll make sure our guests have opportunities to share. Where we have on launch night, where we just have like our newcomers group, that won't be as big of an issue. And so I guess if launch night happens and we are just like, I'm blown away and completely blew away my expectations, which who knows, it could be, then, we'll figure out how to pivot from the 28th to the 4th to add in other, we'll scramble and make it work. But yeah, I generally dream smaller, and I know that that's not a great thing. So thank you for asking that, because it is a possibility. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And maybe, yeah, Cindy, you have thoughts there? Yeah. Yeah. That's, yeah. 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 Somewhere in all the things. Yeah. Would have those. Yeah. I'd have to do that math of time. I would say bring it on. That's what I would say. Bring it on, and then make me scramble between 28th and 4th. Yeah. Let's rock and roll. We'll figure that out. Yeah. Yeah, there will be Newcomer 101, and then the end of Newcomer 101 will actually be a break into male-female, and just as like it's a very, very brief, very abbreviated, mostly just introduction, practicing the introduction type thing. Not the open share, not the discussion question, anything like that. Just a very abbreviated, hi, my name is Josh, etc. Good. All right. Good discussion, good questions. We're rocking and rolling, all right? So let's break off into our groups. And just a reminder, we will not be meeting next week, and we'll be back for the 21st for dress rehearsal. We'll work out all the kinks, and everything will be perfect on the 28th, right? Right. All right. Thanks, guys.
Hello, everyone. We are on lesson 24, and this lesson is called Yes. We're in principle 8, the last principle. Yield myself to God to be used to can't read. Yield myself to God to be used to bring this good news to others, both by my example and by my words. And then step 12 is, having had a spiritual experience as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others, to practice these principles in all of our affairs. So here we go. I wonder if any of you have ever thought of the art or the science of recycling. It's pretty fascinating, really, that we have figured out a way to take an old Coke can that's dirty, dented, maybe has holes in it. Sometimes it's smashed up. It can look pretty disgusting. Something that's seemingly of no value at all. And we figured out a way to melt it down and to purify it and make it into a brand new, shiny, clean can, right? And maybe even the second time around, it's a Pepsi can. That's pretty fascinating. We're going to talk about this idea of recycling today. Recycling your pain by allowing God's fire and light to shine on it, to melt it down, to melt down your old hurts, habits, and hang-ups so that they can be used again in a positive way. They can be recycled to show others how you worked the principles and the steps with Jesus's healing into the solution and how you have come through the darkness of your pain and into Christ's glorious freedom and light. So society will tell us that pain is useless. In fact, some people believe maybe even that people in pain are useless. But at Celebrate Recovery, we know that pain has value, as do the people who experience it. So while the world says no, tonight we are going to say yes. So yes is our acrostic for today. Very easy, very short word, and you don't get much more positive than yes. So the why in yes is from Principle 8 itself. It's yield myself to God to be used to bring this good news to others, both by my example and by my words. To truly practice this principle, we must give God the latitude that he needs to use us as he sees fit. We do that by presenting everything we have, our time, our talents, our treasures, all to him. We hold loosely all that we call our own, recognizing that all of it comes from his hand. And when we've yielded to him, God can use us as his instruments to carry the message to others in word and in action. Galatians 6:1-2 in the TLB version says, if a Christian is overcome by sin, humbly help him back onto the right path, remembering that the next time it might be one of you who is in the wrong. Share each other's troubles and problems, and so obey our Lord's commands. People take your example far more seriously than they take your advice. And so that leads us to the E in our acrostic. The E is example. Example is what is important. Your walk needs to match your talk. We all know that talk is cheap because the supply always exceeds the demand. If you want someone to see what Christ will do for them, let them see what Christ has done for you. And so here's a question to ask yourself when you get to this principle. Does my lifestyle reflect what I believe about Jesus? In other words, does it show others the patterns of the world, selfishness, pride, and lust, or does it reflect the love, humility, and service of Jesus Christ? 1 Timothy 1:5 says, arouse the love that comes from a pure heart, a clear conscience, and a genuine faith. One of the ways that we can be examples is through our Celebrate Recovery testimonies. We share our story with others in order to show what God has done for us. We can become an example. And so the last letter in yes is serve. We serve others as Jesus Christ did. And so when we've reached Principle 8, we're ready to kind of pick up the Lord's towel, the towel of Jesus, the one with which he washed the disciples' feet in the upper room the night before he was crucified. Jesus said, and since I, the Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash each other's feet. I have given you an example to follow. Do as I have done to you. Now, service looks a multitude of different ways in Celebrate Recovery. Service for some will be, as we talked about an example, sharing your Celebrate Recovery testimony, but maybe not for everyone. There's other ways that we've talked about that you serve in CR, right? From greeting, hospitality, serving coffee, cleaning up from dinner, to open share group leaders, to accountability partners and sponsors. There's no shortage of way to serve in Celebrate Recovery. But the reality is that We also choose to serve in other areas of our church on Sunday mornings and such. Or sometimes we serve outside of the church, and that's great too because we're building the kingdom of God together. So this road to recovery leads us to service. When we reach Principle 8, we kind of have this road that splits. Again, what do we do with this? Where do we serve? Do we serve with CR? Do we go back and serve with our church and carry that message there? But somehow it has to lead us to serve. We need you. We need each one of us to share our experiences, our strengths, and our hopes with newcomers here on Wednesday nights. We can do that as leaders, as sponsors, as accountability partners. But as I mentioned, the church also needs our service. As we serve outside of Celebrate Recovery, we can share with others and get them into recovery when they're ready to work on their hurts, hang-ups, and habits. And so we're going to close with this, perhaps an encouragement for a great way to start each morning. And it's a kind of a Principle 8 prayer, and it's simple. It's something simple, like every morning saying, "Dear Jesus, bring me someone today whom I can serve." That's a pretty simple prayer, but I'm pretty sure that if we truly pray that, God's going to have something in store for us. We're going to cross paths with someone who we can serve. So that's lesson 24. Yes, we yield, we show our example, and we serve. Thanks so much, guys. Hope you all have a great day.